Wealth and danger, power and penury. May you leave the greatest mark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Narrator. Hi, this is Daniel from Dan Has Fun, and we're going to be playing some Humankind. Now, I have not got very much experience with this at all. I know it's been out for, a week or so now, maybe a little bit longer by the time this video goes up. But I've intentionally kept myself in a situation where I don't know very much about this game. So, for some backlog on what I do know, I've watched one YouTuber play a game of Endless Legend, and you might be asking, well, Daniel, what does that have to do with it? It's made by the same developer, so I just want to see kind of what their art style was, what their rough gist of gaming was. So at least I know that much. Beyond that, I have rushed through a game of this once just to make sure that I have at least the very semblance of the most basic of basic concepts down. That's about it. I also skipped over the original Emission cinematic for the game because it goes on for quite a while, and we'll probably show the narrative for other parts and other eras down the line, but the first one is pretty generic. So Humankind, what is it for anybody that really has no idea? You might have heard of the Civilization series, pretty big series when it comes to turn-based strategy, has been for decades at this point, longer than probably I've been around as a human on Earth. This is in the same genre, but is not identical. So in Civ, there's a few different ways to win the game, and usually it's through either conquest, science, culture, depending if you're playing like the Alpha Tower, Alpha Centauri. This is Alpha Tauri, got F1 on the brain. Alpha Centauri, it might be dominating economically. This game kind of has a bit of everything of that all wrapped into one experience. What do I mean? This is all about fame. So, fame is the win condition, effectively. So whoever has the most fame at the end of the game wins. And you can get it in a few different ways. In the Neolithic era, there's not all that much variety. There's only going to be a very select few ways where you can really, realistically win, or at least get through to the next era. Because the key, as you may have noticed at the bottom here, if you're following my mouse, we have multiple different eras. Again, a bit like Civ. But unlike Civ, you're incentivized to try and be pretty good at possibly a few different things within your empire simultaneously, rather than just being, say, really, really science-oriented, which tends to be the most common way that people play Civ, at least from my own experience. We'll talk about it some more as the game goes organically. If you're already an expert of this game, my play of this is probably going to hurt you. I'll be the first to admit. Please do not come and look for this video for maybe a tutorial or an expert guide, because I do not have that in my skill set right now. So, we're just going to play through it together as if we all don't really have a clue what's going on. It's kind of fun that way, right? Alright, so we do start off with a tribe. What is a tribe? Just a very, very basic soldier that can get food from ransacking. That's really all there is. This is the map. We obviously don't know very much about this map at all right now, because we've barely started. We just sat down. Unlike in Civ, where you start with like a warrior and a settler and found your city immediately, we're actually going to want to walk around and see what the world has to offer us. And obviously, different terrain also counts as more movement. If you try and cross a river, for example, you're going to use up all your remaining movement points. So we're going to start by going to the right. We can see we've got copper and horses here. Actually, that's pretty helpful. You'll also notice if I zoom in, each tile has its own yield. Again, very Civ-like. How you min-max it? I don't know. So we're going to work that out together, although that does look like a coastline. In terms of how I've set this game up, by the way, it's medium size. I've got the app, I think it's simple graphics, so it's kind of in the middle. Beyond that, I've made it so we should only have one continent, so it should be Pangaea-esque, I'm hoping. We'll see what the world design and generation is like. Oh, there's actually a little bit more to it. Maybe not. We're going to go on the hill just so we can get a bit more vision. I assume that's how that works. Yes, this is a dead end. We're just going to end our turn. I did also shuffle the AI, because unlike, say, in Civ, where you might have, I don't know, Genghis Khan and Lincoln as a couple of opponents, the game has built-in individuals, and you're going to see my ugly mug in this game in the near future. And their traits dictate really more than what their empires do. You'll see what I mean. So really nothing down here? Yeah, there's nothing. So we're going to go back up. We're going to go on again onto that. Just to see. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. We went 100% the wrong way, so that's a great start. This is an area where we can potentially discover something. So we want to start hoarding as many of these as we can, because that's how we're going to grow during the Neolithic phase. And somebody's unlocked a world deed already. We're not going to worry about that right now. We'll deal with that when time comes. You'll notice this is a cliff. So if I move over here, you're like, oh, I want to go up to this cliff. Can't go straight there. It's one thing I do think compared to Civ, it's not quite as intuitive as I would like. I'm sure people that played Endless Legend a lot are like, what are you complaining about? But for me, I would rather have a bit more clarity in terms of movement ahead of time. That's just me. Anyway, this hasn't been taken by anybody else yet. We got 5 food for that, so that's fine. You'll notice there's a ticker for 20 food. If we get to 20 food, we can get another unit. So we definitely want to do that. And we already know there's another location to visit down here, so we're just going to head that way. First few turns, not a huge amount going on. We're going to move there. How much more food? We got another 10. That's pretty good. So we only need 5 more food before we can improve. Nothing there. Is there anything on the edge? Oh, perfect. Okay. And we can't go straight there, you'll notice. I unfortunately got a little bit trolled by the terrain. Alas, what can you do? We got an event here, so Lost Souls 1. Your scout comes to you, breathless from exertion. Between gasps, he tells you that he spied another tribe not far ahead. He leads you on, then after giving a stop signal, you drop to your bellies and crawl forward in the brush. Ahead, a young woman no more than 13 summers is leading a ceremony. I had to make sure I didn't misread that. Her audience, a dozen or so equally young or younger tribesmen. Many are crying, and when you see the bodies laid out, you must understand they're in mourning. You know what you must do. I'm not going to read all of the events out, because if I do that in this game, we're going to be here until a series, at least till Christmas. But the first few we will probably read. So we can welcome the children. They need our care and shelter. There is a chance of triggering another event, and we get a trait, new army, growing tribe next to the hunting party. Or we can just withdraw. No, we're going to welcome, if only because we want more story. So you'll notice we have effectively a second unit, and it has the ability to move straight away, but I'm going to let this unit, because it has 15 food, go for that curiosity, and we'll just end turn. So we got a unit for free. I don't know if you always get one every game, but it's nice that we did. We got +5 food, which is the exact amount to get another tribe. So in terms of what options we have, we can transfer it into a new army like that, for example. And for now, while we're scouting, that is definitely what I'm going to do. This is a resource, as you may have guessed from the question mark, we don't know anything about yet. We're not in an era where that's going to be relevant in any way, shape, or form. Keep going there. Not sure if you heard the cat jumping over my little basement gate in the background there. It's roughly 10 PM where I'm recording right now, so we're getting into the nocturnal cats are crazy phase. So we may occasionally have to engage them politely and get them to move away from our recording stuff. We've got another 5 food there. Oh, perfect. This is a slightly different symbol, so we may get different resources. There's more copper up here. We haven't found another nation. Oh, no, we have found something. Now, we'll talk more about this afterwards, but you'll notice it's not a human, it's wildlife. Like Civ 4, the wildlife can roam the planet. So, this has no food, this has no food. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You'll also notice, by the way, units kind of move semi-dynamically there. They'll move on the same turn as you. It's not like Civ, where you move and then every other AI takes their turn one at a time. We have found a settlement by the looks of it. Can we go and say hi? Apparently not, but we can ransack it, which is hilarious. Let's make a bad decision off the get-go. Why not, eh? They settled already. We're not doing that yet. We're having a look around. I'm going to pick up that curiosity.
May have done something very clever.
That curiosity did not give us food. It gave us science and it gave us influence. We'll talk more about that when it becomes relevant. We could attack this deer, by the way. There is an incentive to do so because when we talk about fame, that is one way of getting fame. But right now, honestly, I'm just going to completely ignore it because I want to go and grab the curiosity down here. There is a possibility, though, what I might do. This has no food. I'm going to start bringing this back with the possibility of settling an outpost somewhere. And in terms of locations, again, new game. I don't really know how to min-max this. If this was a game of Civ, there would be a few good places, but maybe this tile or this tile. Any of these three really would be very good picks. This would be adjacent to a mountain for an observatory, for example. Whereas this would be close to the resources and have good food. I'm sure it's not the exact same game, so the logic's not going to quite sit the same, but I'm still probably going to head this way and maybe found an outpost. And we're going to end turn. A nomadic tribe has got to the next era already. That is the nation that we just splattered their units for, so we might want to be a little bit careful. They might want to ruin my day, so we're going to grab this and then probably boldly and bravely run away. We got more science and influence. Is there anything down here worth going for? I guess I should check while I'm down here. That's a sanctuary, so that is where a lot of wildlife would live, as you'd expect when something's called a sanctuary. Again, we're not going to worry about that too much right now. Oh, there is a new curiosity there, though, so I'm going to get you to cancel your movement. You'll notice now I can claim a territory. So that's something to bear in mind, but we're probably going to grab that curiosity first. And you'll actually notice that if I zoom out really far, another major difference between this game and, say, Civilization is that you can't just infinite city spam. That's not how that works. There's only so many property, how many cities can be put down or outposts, and it's based on the regions of the map. So that's something to bear in mind as well. So this unit's going to go there next turn, end turn. And I'm not going to move. I'm going to see where that other unit went, and I don't see where it went, so we're going to ignore it for now. The sanctuary does have a curiosity there, so that's tempting, but I just want to, defog this, and we got a curiosity for the, for the benefit too. We have a event that's fired. So the seed of an idea. Yesterday, the tribe came across a vast tract of wild grain, the stalk swaying in the breeze like the wind playing over golden waters. The ground down grain could feed the tribe twice over, but one of the tribal elders had another idea. Instead of pounding the seeds into flour, she suggests planting half of them so the grasses may return next summer. It's a curious idea, at odds with the nomadic life, but perhaps a harbinger of the future. What should we do? So if we plant them, we get a slightly cheaper research. If we grind them on our tribe, we actually get +2 food on city or outpost. I don't honestly think this is a massive difference either way, but anything to do with science and technology tends to be something you gravitate towards in these games, so let's do that. Let's grab that curiosity. Now, in terms of this land, by the way this kind of sets up, we could put a city down here, or an outpost. I'm going to keep saying city, even though they're outposts at start life. You're just going to have to get used to that, I'm afraid. Or we could actually get one started here and try and box our neighbours up there in a bit. Is there a location over here that's particularly tantalising? Not really. It has access to copper here, but this land looks okay, I guess. We might just settle it anyway, like I said, just so that the AI can't do so. So if you do choose to do that, you can click Claim Territory. You'll notice it uses influence to found an outpost. And we're going to do that. And you'll also notice as you put down a location, hypothetically there's a food and there's a, well, I'm going to say hammers, even though that's not the icon in this game. The game will suggest a location for you, and it's actually suggested a couple down here, but this isn't in the same zone. So we're not going to do that right now. I do wish it would float up recommendations kind of everywhere, but that's just not how the game works. There's a few things about the AI when I played through the game the first time, the infrastructure of the game, that I think could do with a little bit of improvement. But it's a new game. That's going to be the nature of the beast, especially with, a fairly strategically inclined game. That's plus 14 hammers. Nothing else even comes close in terms of anything productivity-wise, but I do want to try and get some food as well, but I definitely want more than, say, 2 hammers. But I can now see why the game has not prioritized as settling this zone, because there's not a huge amount going on for it. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. The 8-10 is not too bad. 6-14, 8-7. We're going to go here, I guess. Probably not a great decision, but we're going to put an outpost there. So now we have an outpost of Akamar. Probably not how that's pronounced, but I don't know any different, so we're just going to go with that for now. So we've got Akamar founded, and it's effectively going to get protected by this tribe. We do know they're running around with 2 units at the same time, so we do have to be super careful. I'm not playing this on a hugely high difficulty. It's like the default difficulty. It's the equivalent of medium, I guess. Because again, we don't really know how anything is optimized. Another thing I find a bit weird, if you zoom out, I'm using the up, down, left, right keys right now to move around. I'm not sure why it goes slower than a grandma, but it does. Just one of those things, I guess. So somebody else has picked another culture. We'll talk about that more when it's our turn to get there. So we're actually just going to sit in place with those guys because I don't want to get immediately crushed. We got nuts. They gave us 10 food, which is pretty good. And as tempting as it is to go back here, I'm actually just going to run back and see if I can get the curiosity by the sanctuary that we know is over here unless the AI has already pillaged it. We will see. I am curious, by the way. Again, we chose to have this get ransacked. Did that do anything? So in 2 turns, something's going to happen. So let's just let it play out. Let's see what happens. I'm assuming you can't just kill the opponent immediately by burning their outpost. And I assume they're going to come back and try and take me away. So we're going to see how close they get. And if they get within 1 turn's range, I am going to, again, bravely run away. They only have 1 unit, though. What is that unit? It's just a regular tribe, and it's actually taking a fractional amount of damage, so I'm just going to stay in place. That 1 unit alone might attack me. But no, we're fine. Oh, they actually are attacking me, but they took too long. So we got an era star. What does that mean? If we go into it, to get to the new age, so it'll be the ancient era, as you can see just in the corner there, we need a certain amount of stars. And we just got a star because we have 5 population. Admittedly, most of that was, I suspect, because we just ransacked an outpost. But, beggars can't be choosers. There's a knowledge star because we need to get more science, and we haven't got there yet. And a hunter star, killing a total of 5 animals. Where I mentioned it was helpful earlier, but didn't actually do it. And right now, we're just still stuck as we are. We did ransack. You can actually use this to go and zoom in. Now, they have attacked us. Shows you the strength at hand. I actually really like the battle mechanics of this game, by the way. I wish Civilization had something similar to this, but it really doesn't. So, honestly, with the strength we have, we could totally auto-resolve this and we would win. However, this is a good way of showing how combat works. So we're the defenders. So there's this flag, and we have to protect the flag. If the opponent gets it, we lose. We also have to select where our units are going to go. We all have tribal units. They're not really all that interesting when it comes to actual placement. But we're going to click Manual Battle. It'll default to having a layout. We have the terrain advantage as well. It is definitely beneficial to attack from above. So we're just going to end deployment as is. We are going to get attacked first, I suspect. Yeah, because we're defending. But he's not really going to do all that. He's going to try and flank us. Easier said than done when you only have 1 unit. So that's absolutely fine. Now it's going to be our turn. We're going to use this unit first. Attack. and it will show you the rough outline. This is a bit more Civ-like, where there's a range in what you might and might not do in terms of damage. We can take anything between 5 and 25. They can take anything between 13 and 42. Notice how we get a +4 to combat strength because we're attacking from high ground, and we get a +2 because our adjacent unit is friendly to us. So we're going to make that attack. Actually, we didn't do very well there, really, compared to what we should have. What can you do? I'm honestly just going to move this unit back to the flag, and then my third unit is going to move over here, like that, and we're going to attack. And we'll probably come pretty close to wiping it out, but not completely wipe it out. This third unit can't really do anything, so the turn will just end, and then here you go. The enemy killed himself. Works for me. Anyway, that was the battle. We were not going to be concerned about that whatsoever, but what that does mean is hopefully I've slowed him down enough where he's really not going to be able to do anything for the foreseeable future. What we are definitely going to do, though, is take one of the 3 units we now have up here, and we're going to have a look at what the options are. Notice we need at least 20 influence to found a new outpost, but what we're going to do is start using one of these units, transfer it to its own army. It's going to start by moving down here, and we're going to do a little bit more exploring, and that's a great start, actually, as it happens, because we've got that curiosity right there. We now can enter a new era because we have 1 star. If we click choose now, it's not forced. You can back out of it, for example. You know, be like, no thanks, I'm good. But you have to have at least 1 era star in the Neolithic era to get into the next era. There are benefits to not doing so, because again, if you get close to some of the other ones, you might as well get the star, right? And I'm going to wait a turn because that curiosity might give us 5 science, therefore we get this star. So we're going to wait 1 turn and see what happens. These guys, on the other hand, are going to station in place. They just need to heal. This guy, there's a deer, we're going to ignore you. We're going to take that curiosity. It was only 2 science, so it's part way there. We're not even going to bother trying to destroy the sanctuary right now, because we actually don't mind it producing lots of animals, because that means more stars for units you later being killed, right? Okay, so next turn, you'll notice some of his units are now walking around because they want to try and take me out. They're still not going to be able to do it, most likely. We got another, just another 1 science. That's pretty disappointing. But we'll keep moving down. There's another nation here as well. We haven't technically met them because they haven't turned into fully fledged nations yet. But you can see there's another set of scouts there. So that's just something to be aware of. We're going to keep following this river down. Once you've actually gone onto the river, it doesn't count as crossing the river as you walk down the river. So you don't have to constantly lose your turn moving 1 tile, which is pretty good. Lots of kind of crappy terrain down there, though, which is unfortunate. Yeah, he's going to try and attack me again. This is not a huge surprise, given that, you know, he desperately wants his outpost back. But, again, he's still not going to win. I am going to instant resolve this one, because there's no way we can lose. And you've already seen how the battle mechanic works. So that's absolutely fine. Next turn, we need to get movement down here. Oh, perfect. Another curiosity 5 food. I don't know if it's just a case of if you don't have any any vision of an area that you get access to curiosity possibly spawning, or kind of how the minimum mechanics work. Like, I know, again, I know I'm comparing this to Civ a lot, but depending on the difficulty, how close the barbarians can spawn dictates on some level of the difficulty. I don't know what the variable here really is. I do know I have enough influence now if I wanted to, though, to settle another outpost, which is tempting. When I come down here, we'll probably do that. So yes, we're going to ignore the deer for now. I don't know if the deer is going to have a a zone of control was what I meant to say. Doesn't look like it. Kind of makes sense, I guess. I mean, it is just a deer, but we're going to go for that curiosity. Another 10 food, which means we've got another tribal unit. We're not going to split up, though, because we're getting quite far away from home, and I don't want to run the risk of losing the units. Another event, we're not going to read this one this time, the Fungal Hoarder. So we have three options. We can either banish, protect, or retain. So retaining just gives you science. Protecting gives us something called bountiful, which means we just get more food for 10 turns. Or we can banish and we get a cheaper tech. I'm actually going to take just the 2 science this time because I knew I could get the knowledge star if I did. And now we're going to go into the next era. Purely because this is going to take too long to get the hunter star. We're not going to bother doing that. We're going to go to the next era. And now we have to pick. So you'll notice we're a little behind the 8 ball. So we should have 5 opponents, I think it was. 4 of them have already chosen. So we can't be the, and I'm going to butcher names, something fierce. I am not a history expert, but the Harappans, the Nubians, the Olmecs, and the Mycenaeans can't be either of any of those. But you'll notice that each culture has its own trait, building usually, and unit. The trait is extra important because it gets, as it says there, retained throughout the eras. And the other reason why it's incredibly important is that depending on what type of trait they have, tends to show what that nation or culture prioritizes, therefore what you tend to get more fame of. So we could be the Assyrians if we wanted to go very combat heavy. Given we're on a Pangaea, that's tempting. We could go with Babylonians, which is the very much scientific option, which is, I think, pretty good all around, I would say. You'll notice, though, they do not get a unit. Oh, they do get a unit I can't pronounce. So, for my case, they might as well not have it, I guess. But that looks like it's a spear unit. Yes, anti-cavalry, as they're described in this game. The Egyptians, who are all about building. And then we have the Hittites. So the Hittite, it's like the compasses thing you have in maths, the thing you draw circles with, and I keep saying compasses is. Anyway, they're also combat focused. Or we can have more money. Interesting. Or we can have stability. Now, I haven't talked about stability, and I'm not going to talk about it yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But it is interesting that their building gives stability and science. So that's interesting too. The unique unit is also a heavy cavalry, and we do have horses, so that's tempting too. And I think if this was going to be boring off video, Daniel, I would pick the Babylonians because science, and I am a turtler. But let's try and be something a little bit more interesting. Let's be... oh, I don't know. Let's be the Zoo. Or the Zoo. Or the Shoe. I don't know. Whatever. We're going to be these guys. And there's my really, really lovely mug. It looks really nothing like me, but you can't design an obese guy with glasses in this game. So that would be why. But yeah, we're going to confirm. It'll show you again. You get +2 stability on a district. We don't even have the option for a district right now. I can tell you that's okay, but not brilliant. At least from my experience. This Confucian school, though, seems like a pretty good building. This unit, I could take it or leave it, I think. Although the 6 movement's pretty good. So we're going to confirm like that. And we should now, on the next turn, because you'll notice the icon down here now has the joyous wings of success. That's what I'm going to describe them. Next turn, we should see our nomadic tribe evolve. And then we've got a tribe's legacy. So we are going to read this one because you only get it once per game. So you stand at a crossroads. For many moons, the tribe has trekked the wilderness, slowly, tortuously, learning the secrets of this world. How the materials hidden in the deep places and in plain sight might be fashioned to the tribe's advantage. How the beasts and plants of the lands and seas can be most fruitfully harvested. And how myths and stories can glacially but inescapably give power over our greatest enemies, other tribes. Now you must decide in what domain the tribe will truly sharpen its knowledge for the ages to come. Will you be renowned as makers, farmers, or charmers? And again, if we pick makers, we're going to get the waddle and dab legacy trait, which just means we get extra industry per production. Actually, it's pretty good. Farmers, you get food instead as your legacy trait. Or astronomy, which gets science. None of these are bad options. Because we picked such a stability with slightly science focus, I'm actually going to go for farmers, because they don't get any type of food bonus, and without population, you aren't building things. And just to be kind of rude, I'm going to probably cut the video off here, so that next turn and next time, we can see what it looks like when we're no longer a nomadic tribe. So if you've enjoyed the video, you found it vaguely interesting, or in some ways, you know, a good learning experience, I would say not, but let's pretend for a moment. If that's the true though, if that's the case, happily give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more. I really appreciate you having spent the time watching the video, and I will see you next time. Take care. Thank you for watching the video.